Hey gang, Scott with the Scott Gaertner Group here, and we are back for our second podcast. So thanks for tuning in again, and hopefully you enjoyed the last one. The last one, for those of you who weren't here. We did kind of a 30,000-foot view of some changes coming to healthcare, particularly in Scottsdale North, but actually internationally. This is really the cutting edge, the forefront of it. And today we're going to drop down a little bit lower, get into some more of the details of what you can do to kind of reverse that aging process, best practices, things like that. So today we've just got Dr. T, Brian Thompson from Health Solutions with us. We're just going to go over a few points here that I think you're going to find interesting and get you started on this path to totally enhancing your health span, increasing your lifespan, but making a better health span too, so that you're really out and enjoying your life as much as you can. Well, Brian, welcome back. Thanks for coming in again. And, to kind of kick it off, I'm reading a great book right now, and in it, it's a brilliant doctor, and he talks about, and he went to a lot of years of school, and he said in none of those years did they discuss exercise or nutrition or mental health, and one other thing that they really are not trained in. And we're starting to see that those are some of the most important things we can do to control our health, right?
Absolutely, Scott, and thanks for having me back. It's a real pleasure to be here again and to spend some time with you. Last time we were kind of at the 30,000 feet level, and I'd like to dive it down closer to home so those of you that are out there listening and watching can take some actionable things home with you today, some things that you can do to change your world to help you feel amazing again and help reverse that aging clock. So
I think most people would like to hear that.
Yeah. I agree with the statement. I think those things that are missed in medical school are often the foundational basis. We take them for granted. Interesting study that came out recently that I was reading about was a broad-based study, and it was studying mortality and morbidity of COVID patients or people who had COVID. And it may be really simple for us to see this, but I thought it was great to point out. There was a 49% decrease in morbidity and mortality in individuals who caught the disease if they led an active lifestyle prior to getting it. That one factor alone cut your mortality in half. So it really helped to focus on what do we need to do before this next pandemic comes down the road. We don't know what, we don't know when, but if we're sitting here thinking that this is, going to be the last time that something goes around and makes a lot of people sick, well, we're not looking back thousands of years because that's not our history. Our history is to have these insults one after another to build our immune function, to build our bodies so that they can heal themselves. And the thing that came out of COVID is if you're active and you're physically fit going into it, your likelihood of coming out without consequences on the other side is much, much better. So I want to encourage double. Absolutely. I want to encourage everybody, and that's where healthcare really is going, I think. It's going towards more self-health care than healthcare itself. You've got to, as a client, as a patient, as an individual, you've got to take control of how you're aging. If you don't take control of your body and understand what your body's doing, you can't expect anybody else to. I love our healthcare practitioners out there. I'm not a physician. I'm not practicing medicine. I don't want to be practicing medicine. I work very, very closely with Dr. Jen, who was here last time, who is an MD, and a number of other physicians that are out there to help solve some of these big challenges. But I really believe that your body is the best place to solve those challenges. And if we can get your body to a position where it's in a healing mode instead of a disease mode, then we can create that healing potential. And working with your team, with your physicians and everybody else, that's how miracles can be created.
Well, and none of those things you talked about need a prescription. That's not what we're talking about. That's not the deal, not the drug way to do it. But I do see, I could get that people are like, okay, so I guess then I just start walking or something. So, they do need, there are more effective ways to do it that may not even change their lifestyle that much, right? There are more practical ways to hit the right points?
Absolutely. At Health Solutions, we focus on functional fitness. We're a full body rejuvenation and functional fitness studio. And the reason we use that term functional fitness is because we want you to come in and work with us and our team, and we work with your team so that you can spend minimal time in the gym or minimal time getting fit, so you can spend maximal time out enjoying your life and feeling amazing and doing what you want to do. Just as you said a few minutes ago, it's not about lifespan, it's about health span. How can we create an environment so you're thriving and driving and functioning optimally right up until the day when your clock is punched and you go on to your next project? But it's something that's easy. It's something that's doable. It takes accountability and it takes commitment. We can't erase 70 years of abuse in 3 days, nor should you expect to reduce 70 years of abuse in 3 days. But can we turn the clock back 10 years at a time? So every 12 months we're ticking that clock back 10 years or so? Absolutely. It takes accountability and it takes commitment to do it, but it really takes a team. And that's where we need to go with this, is how do you build a team that surrounds you, that supports you in reversing that aging clock? Because it's not just one spot. I wish we could tell you that Health Solutions can provide all of that for you. We like to think we're kind of a one-stop shop, but we're not. We work with a lot of different members of your team in order to get you and your body the support you need to heal.
Well, that's awesome. So who are some other important players on our team?
Well, for one, you need to have somebody who is very supportive of you emotionally. One of the biggest things that I see, or that we see, is that people they come in with no hope. They've had a support structure that has told them this is the reality. Oftentimes it might start with the oncologist or the physician that gives you some very bad news that you don't want to hear. And then it's, oh my gosh, and oh my dear, and oh my golly, what do we do next? And all of a sudden we have a whole bunch of support structure that's not supporting us in a positive fashion because they're focused on what the diagnosis is. Disease is simply dis-ease in the body. Your body is not in harmony anymore, and that's where disease starts, that's where it functions. So the first spot we need to get is we need to get mentally clear on where we are, but even more clear on where we want to go. The mindset of the law of attraction, getting what you focus on, is so powerful in healthcare. We see such huge positive outcomes with people that have a positive outlook. We can go back and look at individuals who survived the concentration camps in Germany and study their mindset. And the mindset was always, those survivors and thrivers, was always positive. It was always on what was next. It wasn't what I'm going through right now. And particularly with the very debilitating diseases that we're dealing with today, like cancer and others, if we focus on that, we focus on it growing, then we're just aiding that foreign organism in taking over our bodies. Whereas if we're focusing on being on the beach, we're focusing on health, we're focusing on running, swimming, playing golf again, functioning, if we're focusing on that instead of our aching back, then we have a good space mentally that encourages our body to heal. The other thing we need to look at really carefully is sleep. Sleep is when we heal. If we're not sleeping well, we're not healing well. So we need to look to how do we encourage healthy sleep patterns, and how do we encourage the body to heal itself? How do we coach you into a position so you can listen to your body clearly enough that you understand what it's telling you, and then you have a support structure, whether they be, your naturopathic physician, your traditional MD, primary care provider, a physical therapist, whoever you surround yourself needs to be on the same page. We can all have healthy skepticism, but it doesn't do us any good to focus on that. It doesn't do us any good to communicate that skepticism. We need builders around us. We need health builders. We need a team that lifts us up and carries us to the next level so that we have that opportunity to be in that 1% that beats that deadly beast that's before us.
Well, just a couple of quick ones. Two of those things you touched on. There's the oncologist and then the sleep things. And so two of the things I saw at Health Solutions, one, we were doing a blood drive, and we met a guy and his brother who was coming out of Health Solutions, and they blew us away with the story about how he came in stage 4 cancer. I don't remember what it was, but it was totally debilitating. He had no lifestyle. His brother was telling us, and he's there talking to us. You would have no concept this guy was even sick. And so that's a different way. I don't know that all medicine sees that as a possibility. And then sleep, I think, I don't know this, I've never had this problem, but I guess that if you go to an MD and you have a sleep problem, they'll probably give you a med. And you had talked to us about even getting sunlight can help with sleep, right? I'm more of a holistic, natural.
Absolutely. And Scott, again, I'm not a physician, and I don't want to pretend that I am one, and I'm not diagnosing anything here, but I'm helping your body to understand what it needs to do. And yes, our brothers in medicine are kind of pigeonholed into a system where they're required to do certain things. They're required to follow standard practices and protocols that have been laid out before them by the governing agencies. And so typically, yes, they will check a box and give you a prescription or whatever it is. They'll counsel you maybe if they have the time. That's the real challenge, is they don't have the time to counsel you. It's not that they don't want to. It's that the parameters just simply don't allow it to happen. So, one of the best ways that we see to reset your circadian rhythm or your natural clock is simply using sunlight. Sunlight is a very powerful healing agent. It's a very powerful detoxifier. It's a great source for vitamin D. Vitamin D is critical for all sorts of function, immune function, brain function, bone density, nerve transmission, and we get it naturally through sunlight. But to reset your circadian rhythm, and here's one of those little golden nuggets that everybody should be doing because it's free and it really makes a difference in your life, is exposing as much your face, your eyes, and as much as your body as you can or you're comfortable with to the sunlight early in the morning. So 15 to 20 minutes shortly after sunrise, but specifically before about 10 or 11 in the day, just does wonders. It turns on the early morning blue light, turns on a bunch of metabolic pathways, it turns up your hormones, it wakes you up, makes you get ready for the day. And then we want to shut that clock down so we get good restful sleep at night by seeing the sunrise, or the sunset, or close to sunset sun for approximately the same amount of time, 15 to 20 minutes. That shuts your clock down. That increases your natural production of melatonin, which is one of our sleep hormones. It helps with sleep. It helps to decrease cortisol. It helps to decrease a number of things. And then all we've got to do in our technical society is after sunset, avoid bright blue light. So we can turn on screen filters on our tablets or on our phones. So after sunset, minimize your exposure to blue light, because that bright blue light coming out of your TV or out of your device that you're looking at tells your brain that it's sunrise, because those are the rays we get in the morning. So if we're telling our brain it's sunrise at midnight and then scratching our head at 2 a.m. wondering why we're not sleeping, well, guess what? We're the idiot in the room. We're telling our body what we want it to do, and it's confused. So we need to tell our body what we want it to do, and that is we want to sleep and heal at night.
So two practical things sounds like. Taking a walk first thing in the morning, maybe as the sun sets too, would get you both of those. And not going to bed, checking social media on your phone, that may not be a best practice.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the developers of all of our devices understand physiologically very clearly how our body works. Okay. Just like when you go to Vegas and go in a casino, it's going to be full of bright blue light and all sorts of other flashing lights. The devices are designed to keep us awake. The devices are designed to keep us engaged on the device, because the more time we're engaged on the device, the more we're addicted to it, if you will, and the more that screen time has value to whoever the advertisers are or whoever is driving that revenue model behind the device. They're not here to help our kids. They're not here to help ourselves. They're here to sell us stuff. And so by turning that off, we let our body go back to doing what it needs to do. Even in this sun-drenched area, 80% of the population is deficient in vitamin D.
Yeah.
We didn't have a lot of skin cancer before we had a lot of sunscreen. Now, here's another controversial but kind of easy to understand topic. If you think about some of the cheaper sunscreens that are out there, there are some real good ones. You need to have a zinc base. You need to get away from the chemicals that are in the sunscreen. But you put the sunscreen on your skin and then you go bake it in the sun and bake it in, and then we wonder why our skin is becoming toxic, why it's our largest organ on our body. How are we absorbing that in there? Are we sunbaking in sunscreen to create more skin issues? Studies have shown, I believe that we are. By going with a natural sunscreen that is zinc-based, we're not pushing toxic, harmful chemicals into our body.
I was thinking of it. There's got to be, because I see people really bundle up before they do go for a walk. So I think there's it's maybe been overcooked into us that you got to stay out of the sun. Now you're kind of preaching the opposite, but there are effective ways, to block it. Do you know anything, a brand of sunscreen?
I don't have any particular brand in mind, but if it's a zinc oxide base, they are typically, now I'm going to age myself and maybe you a little bit, but if you remember way back when the mountaineers or the mountain climbers or the skiers used to cover their nose with this white zinc oxide. Well, that kind of went out of vogue. Now it's used for diaper rash. You can still use it on your face. It's cheap, it's inexpensive, and you still get that nice white everywhere if that's what you want. But they have developed a number of different sunscreens that is now clear. It's not the white paste from the days gone by. And that's the main thing that you need to look for. Make sure that you don't have any of the artificial ingredients. We want to make sure there are no petroleum products. It's another thing we put on our skin, petroleum jelly. It's got petroleum in it. You go out and go to the gas station, rub a little bit on your hand and see what it does for you. I mean, it's not quite that dramatic, but if we pay attention to what we're putting on our body and what we're putting in our body, then all of a sudden our body's going to pay attention to us, and it's going to work much better for us all along the way.
Well, that makes perfect sense. What other kinds of tips we have for health, exercise-wise?
Well, exercise... It's more about the motion and the movement than it is about the intensity. Okay, and it's also about flexibility, keeping your body guessing. Your body works best when it's constantly stimulated or something new is coming about. So going to the gym and doing the exact same routine every morning for 3 years, and then you wonder why you're stuck. It's become predictable. Your body knows, okay, it's Tuesday morning. Guess what? We're going to go do squats, and I'm going to groan. But I'm not going to grow.
Yeah.
So keeping your body stimulated, keeping your body guessing, and looking at how your body is reacting to food. Our gut is our second immune system. Our gut is our second brain. So if we don't pay attention to what we put in our gut and how our gut functions, then how are we supposed to pay attention to what our brain does?
Yep.
Or our immune system does. So garbage in, garbage all around. One of the most addictive molecules on the planet is white sugar. It's also one of the most inflammatory molecules on the planet.
So it creates and increases the amount of inflammation in your body?
Absolutely does. And if you look at the PET scan, which is one of the most specific scans you can do for cancer, they give the patients radioactive sugar. And then they go in and take a scan, and anything that lights up is cancerous, because cancer outcompetes the rest of the cells in your body for those sugar molecules.
Wow.
Now, there's some controversy out there, and I'm not practicing medicine. I'm practicing common sense here. Yeah. If that substance is so inflammatory and that the cancer cells outcompete for that substance, then why are we packing 4 tablespoons in a can of soda and then chugging it down and wondering why we're not feeling good? So the first step in self-health is realistically looking at the environment that you've created, and is that environment conducive to healing? Is that conducive to you getting younger every year, or is it conducive to you spending more time on the couch with a bag of chips watching a football game and grumbling because your knees hurt or grumbling because your back hurts? With functional fitness, it's not about going to the gym. It's not about pumping iron. It's not about getting really strong. Functional fitness is about, where are your weaknesses in your body? Where do we want Scott to get stronger so that he can go play golf, he can go play tennis, he can go play pickleball, and he doesn't have to worry about blowing a knee, an Achilles heel, or tearing a tendon in his elbow. We get a lot of people that come in for what I call golfer's syndrome. Golfer's syndrome is somebody who's addicted to that sport of golf. And I say that lovingly because it is it's a great sport. And up here in Scottsdale North, we've got a lot of golfers, and they've got a lot, you included, we've got a lot of golfers who have chronic low back and hip pain because they're not going to stop golfing. We can help them. They get feeling really good, then they go out and play 36 holes on Saturday or Sunday and come in on Monday wondering why they're hurting again. Well, your grandma probably told you this. If you got back pain, strengthen your core.
Yeah.
Do more sit-ups. In high school, you got back pain, you're doing more sit-ups. Great. Well, now we're 70 years old and we've had back pain for 30 years. How do we do more sit-ups? We don't. It's kind of the chicken and the egg. How do we get rid of the back pain without doing more sit-ups? How do we get rid of the back pain without a stronger core? How do we get rid of the back pain if our glutes and our legs and our core aren't built up so that they handle that pressure, so that when we're moving and golfing, we're no longer impinging on those nerves that are causing that pain. Instead, we're relying on strong muscles to hold us in place and to keep us in function. And if we twist weird, the muscle takes that instead of our back or our hips or our nerves. So it's simply a matter of, how do we do that? Well, we've developed a system. We're utilizing some new technology in a slightly different fashion than it was designed for. We have the ability now, through electrostimulation and radiofrequency heat, to have you lay down and sit with paddles on your abdomens, for instance, for 30 minutes, and you'll do 20,000 Supermax crunches, and you won't be sore afterwards. How about if we flip that pancake over now and we use those same paddles on your glutes? Okay. Now all of a sudden we're building those muscles back up, and with the combination of using that with some of our pulse PMF technology to energize the cells to make sure they're full of oxygen and blood flow, in that simple 1 hour session where you've done your front side and your back side and now you're walking out strong, we've seen the elimination of golfer's syndrome, or that chronic low back pain, because now we're ahead of the curve. Whereas before we were trying to fight that curve to get that core strength in there, fight through that pain to get that core strength in there so that the core strength would take over and the pain would go away. We've reversed the course.
You're proactive.
Proactively building that core strength, eliminating the inflammation around those pissed off nerves, excuse my French, but that's what they are. They're ticked at you because you're playing so much bloody golf and you just keep abusing it.
And not doing the other work.
Asking you not to do that, well, that's taking away your amazing lifestyle.
Yep.
We don't want that. We want you to feel amazing on the golf course. We want your buddies to notice that you're swinging that club an extra 30 yards now. When you hit that ball, it's going further and better than you ever have, and you're not complaining about your back pain anymore. That's
a biggie. And if you go back into Connecting Scottsdale North, you can see a video of Brian put me on that machine. It was amazing. And he just mentioned the electromagnetic therapy has helped, not just, I think we've talked about my knees, how it helped, but my back too. It's made it really, really helped. And you say bringing it to the cells.
Exactly. Each one of us is made up of trillions of cells. If those cells are in harmony and functioning properly, they're energized, they've got oxygen, they've got good water, they've got good nutrients, then every one of the cells in your body is working towards reversing that aging clock. But if they're not, then they're working against you. So we've got to start at the cellular level. We've got to start looking at how how is our nutrition? Are we getting the right nutrients that we need? There are a lot of supplements that are out there, but if they don't get into your bloodstream, they don't do you any good. So you've got to make sure you've got good medical grade supplements that you're taking. You've got to make sure that you're taking a regime that complements your body and helps you to heal. And that's where, part of your team, whether, like I say, be a naturopath, a health advisor, most physicians don't have the time to go into nutrition. So you need to have somebody that understands gut function and understands how integrated that needs to be with your nutritional supplement program. Going to GNC or Walgreens and piling up a bag or a cart full of stuff because you heard it was good, it may be really great on a lab bench, but if it doesn't get into your body and do you any good, that's just expensive urine.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
all it is, and so once again, surrounding yourselves with individuals who are experts in various areas that you need, and then listening to them is always going to be beneficial.
It's going to be easier and cheaper if you hit the places where you really need it, and you hit it with the best tools you have available.
Absolutely. Just as we helped you to avoid knee replacement surgery.
Exactly.
We want to encourage everybody else to take control of their life as well. And yes, it took us a journey to get your knees to where they are today, and the fact that the orthopedic surgeon said you didn't need surgery was a huge validator of what has happened. But wouldn't you much rather take that journey than to go in and pay whatever you have to pay out of pocket for knee replacement surgery, go through the rehab program to get back to where you were? You're going to have some downtime, even with the greatest surgeries that are out there, and some really good ones where they can load you right back up within 24 hours. If you don't need it, why would you do it?
Yeah.
And if you can avoid it and then not have to have that replacement redone in 15 years.
That was the other thing for me, is I knew I was starting a clock that later, possibly in my 80s, I was going to have another one.
Exactly. So again, we're kind of diving down into the area of proactively preventing things from happening. And then, once again, listen to your body. If you're in pain, that's your brain telling you that something is wrong. Let's find out what the root cause of that is.
That's good. And I would tell you that I became resigned to that was just a part of my life. I mean, it just sucked. I was going to be in pain a lot of the time, and I was wrong. Mm-hmm. You took the pain away, and I don't take any drugs, still don't take any medicine.
Well, thank you for that. That's what we're here for. That's my passion. That's what, we want to do. And, I'm when we talk about spiritual health, I personally happen to be a religious man, but I don't profess that on anybody else. I believe it's a mindset. And we talked about that a little bit before. But if your mind is right and your mind is healthy and you're thinking healthy thoughts that encourages your body to be in a happy place, it's always going to help. I mean, it takes way more muscles to frown than it does to smile, and a smile is a very healthy thing. It's been proven laughter, comedy, all of those things just help to uplift the spirit, uplift the soul, and uplift the body into a mode where healing happens. So watch the old funny comedies, whatever tickles your funny bone. If you want to watch I Love Lucy, go watch I Love Lucy. If it's The Simpsons, I don't care. Just get some laughter, get some fun back in your life. Take the focus off what's not working and focus on what is working, and watch that grow.
No, that's great. Who else should we have on the team? Is there other people you can think of, or ways for people to find out, I've got this issue, I don't want to use regular medicine, what do I do?
Well, I believe in personal referrals. If you know somebody who has done really well by you, and who has bonded and listened to you, then I would refer that person to others. But as you're out there shopping, it's a really good question. If you're out there looking for, your healthcare advocate, if you're looking for, whatever advisor, first off, find somebody who listens.
Yeah.
Find somebody who wants to know what you're made of, who listens to what your concerns are, who doesn't jump in and try and give you a 15-second answer when you're 5 seconds into a explanation that should take you 20 minutes. You're a very complicated individual. Each one of us are. And if we think we can express what's going on in our bodies to anybody in 5 minutes, we're crazy. It isn't going to happen. We do an hour-long consultation, for instance. Our naturopath, often her consultations are an hour and a half to an hour and 40 minutes.
Well, part of that is because I could never tell you. I am not somebody who thinks about what's going on in my body. I don't know how to tell you what's wrong with it, so it's going to be a bit of it. You're pulling it out of me because you know the questions to ask, right?
Well, it's an education and empowerment session, and we don't charge for that because it's an education and empowerment session. I want to learn about what makes Scott tick. I want to learn about what your challenges are. I want to learn about how you feel and look at your body and how it functions and where you want it to work better. And if we don't have an open and honest dialogue talking about everything from gut function to hormonal function to brain function and all those little, things, sexual wellness, that's a taboo for a lot of people. But, that gives us a window into your hormones.
Yeah.
If you're going to look to lose weight or you want to increase your, bedroom activity or whatever it is, if your hormone's in the toilet, your hormones are in the toilet. That weight's not going to come off and nothing else is going to work right either. So, you've got to start with a team of healthcare or self-care professionals who support that whole concept of, natural vitality and natural healing. Doesn't mean that we don't use medications. Absolutely, they're necessary, 100%. But if we can decrease the amount of diabetic medication or the amount of blood pressure medication that you have to take on a regular basis by working with your physician and your body, everybody wins except for the pharmaceutical companies.
Right.
and so that's, that team, just really look for people that you bond with. Look for people who are willing to listen to you. Look for people who can reflect back to you what their concerns are. Because that's part of building a team. There's no I in team. I know that's an old cliche, but there's no I in team. But nobody's going to drive your health and wellness regime like you are.
So that's really the core of what we're talking about, is you need to be your own advocate. Also, kind of on the mental side of it is, I was resigned. It was just going to be a knee problem. So to be hopeful, too, for that, be your own advocate, but believe there may be a solution, because we really are on the cutting edge of things we've never seen, right?
Mm-hmm. We are, yeah. Miracles are being performed daily all around the world with these new technologies. The biggest thing that's stopping those technologies or those techniques from getting out is our belief that we've tried everything already and it didn't work.
Right. Exactly.
So I guess there are two people that are going to, we will see those people who believe that they can't be healed, and those people that believe or have just a glimmer of hope that they can. And guess what? They're both right.
Yeah, that's so good.
And those with the glimmer of hope are the ones that we see that, perform miracles, and they perform the miracles. It's not what we do. Their body does what it needs to do. We just give them what they need, listen to them, provide them with a support structure, a team that is healthy and lifting them upward and their body, and they take it from there.
My dream is that, I would think that for the ones that don't believe there's anything you can do, they're not going to come see you. They're never going to get a chance to find out. Maybe this podcast can help somebody to come and find and just start an inquiry.
Yep. And that's my hope. is that we can share the message that there is hope. There are no lost causes. Yes, there are some very terminal issues that we all have to face and deal with, and some of those aren't curable. However, the quality of life that you have while you're here, even though you're struggling with that situation, if you will, can be far better just in the time that you have. And it starts upstairs. If you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't.
Yeah.
The little train was right from the very beginning, and that's where we want to go with self-care in the future, is making sure everybody, and if you're not healthy enough to be your own advocate, bring in a family member, bring in one of your children, bring in a friend, reach out, because there are people out there. I mean, we're out there, Dr. Jen is out there, there are people out there that can help provide you with that support structure.
That's good. And then, maybe this isn't a podcast, I think we've covered a lot, but there are things to enhance your life. You can even look better. Don't you have a kind of a no surgery facelift or something now?
Well, we utilize the same technology that we use for the golfer's back syndrome.
Yeah.
Okay. But we're utilizing it for the face. I personally believe that our current cosmetic society wants to look beautiful, and they want to look beautiful instantly, so they're filling their face full of toxins. Botox is a neurotoxin. I personally, I know there are a lot of people use it. It appears to be safe, but something about putting a neurotoxin in my body on a regular basis just doesn't fit with me. I'd like to reverse the aging process. So just as we're building the muscle in your abs and throughout the rest of your body, you're going to look better just because of the side effects or the side benefits of being more fit and being leaner. We use that same technology to exercise the face. It's called the M-Face, and what it does is it uses electrostimulation and RF to stimulate your elevator muscles. Those are the muscles that you use when you smile. Those are the muscles that you use for fun expressions. We don't want to exercise the depressors, because those are the ones that make us frown and make our face fall down. So we want an uplifting experience. We rebuild those muscles through muscle stimulation. When the muscles get strong, they get plump, they get pink, they're full of nice red blood cells, so they get that youthful glow that shows through your skin, and it tugs on those facial bones that have been shrinking away for years because you haven't had any muscle tone there. And all of a sudden, because we're tugging on those bones again, those bones grow back. So your youthful appearance of those higher cheekbones, those more prominent facial features that you were born with and had until you abused yourself enough, and aging and food and everything else came in and things started to move south, we can regrow that. Again, it's not an overnight fix. You're not going to come in today and look 20 years younger tomorrow. But if we exercise your face and we add the nutrients into your face, just like the rest of your body, your face is going to be more youthful. We're going to reverse that aging process naturally. And yes, your face will naturally lift back up to where it was, because those bones and muscles are now strong like they used to be when you were in your 20s.
And you don't have to go through that, I don't know what it is, 3 weeks of looking like a mummy or something, right?
Yeah.
No surgery.
There's no downtime. There's no surgery. It's only side benefits.
Yeah.
Unless you don't like a healthy, pink, youthful glow. And then, there's some people like that. They may not enjoy that. But,
you
it's
could
about
probably even
function.
help them with that. Just do the wrong things. We'll help you do the wrong thing.
Yeah. And, with that same technology, we can help stroke victims. We can help palsy victims.
Wow. Because
those individuals that have lost that muscle tone on that side of their face, and they don't have the ability to build it back, we can now exercise those muscles for them and bring back a much more normal appearance and function. And just like we're seeing with rebuilding quads and hamstrings on individuals whom are paralyzed, if we build the strength beforehand, the nerves tend to reconnect after the fact, and now they have the strength to walk and to move and everything else. It's the same thing with facial paralysis issues. Not all of them work. Some of them respond really well. Again, it's not a magic bullet. Everybody's an individual, but we're simply exercising your face.
Yeah.
You can do it at home if you want to sit and do the smile chipmunk thing 5,000 times in a 20-minute session, but your spouse is going to laugh at you pretty good, and your kids are going to think you're an idiot. And you're probably not going to do it more than once. So you can come in and lay down, and we can exercise your face for 20 minutes, and you can laugh at yourself while you're doing it and walk away with a nice, healthy glow.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Brian, thank you very, very much. Is there anything else you'd like these guys to know?
No, the biggest thing is please don't ignore your health. Don't ignore your body. When your body is sending you signals, it's telling you something. Pick up the phone, answer the phone from your body, and then find a team, assemble a team who has an understanding of what that message is and how to interpret it and how to overcome any of those challenges. But you've got to develop a team, because healthcare is not becoming more personal. It's becoming less personal. And unless you interject yourself into that process, you take accountability, you take control, nobody else will.
Wow, that's well said. And so really, and I'm a great example of this. I had just resigned myself that my knee was going to hurt forever. And really, I was just avoiding the surgery and just thinking it was part of aging. It was pretty negative. I didn't realize that I'd slipped into that. So if you're in that camp, if you believe there's no hope, at least take a shot. Give somebody a call. Give Dr. T a call, whoever. Be positive. Anyway, thanks for listening, and we'll be back.